welcome back. Let's see, last Tuesday we left off with talking about our settlers that wanted to move west. But when they moved west, they gave up their state and local government. They had to move to territories. Remember, a territory is a piece of land that the national government owns but does not have a state or a local government. So the people there, the Americans in the territories, had to find a way to govern their own communities. They had to find a way to get together and to get along, to work things out without a state and a local government. So let's go over the state and local governments just to quickly review our chart. Okay, here we go. Remember our chart here? Let's see, there we go. Okay, so we have our three types of government. We have the national government, we have the state government, we have the local government. And remember, each of them has an executive branch, a legislative branch, and a judicial branch. And in the national government, we have the executive, and go this way, the executive branch is the president, the legislative branch is the Congress, and the judicial branch is the court. And in the state, the executive branch is the governor, the legislative branch is the legislature, which is like their Congress. They have their own House and their own Senate, and their judicial branch is also the courts. In the local level, the executive branch is the mayor. The legislative is the city council, just a small group of people that make up the laws for that city. And the judicial is the court. So an example of the national government is the United States of America. An example of a state is Florida. An example of the local would be the city of West Palm Beach. So the executive branch in the United States of America is the president. Okay, the executive branch in the state, so we'll use Florida, is the governor. Our governor is Governor DeSantis. Okay, for the local, that would be all of the cities. That would be West Palm Beach, Boynton Beach, Lake Worth, Wellington, Royal Palm Beach, Hypoluxo, Lantana, Lake Worth, any of those. Those are all the local, and each one of them has a mayor. Okay, the mayor is the executive branch of the local government. Now, each one also has a legislative branch. The Congress is for the national government for the United States of America. The legislature, which we said was just like a House and a senator for the state. And then the legislature for the local government is a city council. Now, they all have courts in the judicial system. So that was a quick review of our three types of government. Okay, now we are going to talk about, when George Washington was president, do you guys remember where the Capitol was? We kind of talked about it before. It was in New York City. But where is the Capitol now? Ah, it's in Washington, D.C. Well, today what we're going to discuss is why it moved from New York City to Washington, D.C., and how the process happened and why it happened. That's what mostly we're going to be talking about today. So our vocab words are going to be New York City, Potomac River, which we're going to get to that in a little bit, Washington, D.C., and Capitol. Okay, New York City we talked about because that's where the Capitol was when George Washington when he first became president. Potomac we're going to get to soon. Washington, D.C. is the capital for our nation now. And then we're going to talk about capital. So let's start with capital, okay? But here's the thing. Capital can be a little confusing because of one little letter. It's amazing how much information one little letter can change in a word. And here we go. So, there's my pen. So the first one we're going to look at is capital with an A. Okay, right there is the A. So we have C-A-P-I-T-A-L. This capital is the main city where the government of a state or country is located. So when George Washington was president, the capital, the main city where the government of a state or county, a country is located, was in New York City. Now our capital is in Washington, D.C. But that is the city where the government of a state or country is located, the city of it. Now the other capital, C-A-P-I-T-O-O-L, is the main building where a government conducts business. So this Capitol with an O is a building. And here is where our Congress, I'll show this to you real quick. Hopefully it'll come up. Can you see it? Nope, let me turn this light off. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Right here, this one is the actual Capitol building. Okay, see it's OL up there? Capitol building. That's where our Congress, the legislative, the House of Representatives, and the Senate do their business and have their meetings and make their laws. This is the legislative, the Capitol building. Okay, so this is where we talk about a building. All right, put that light back on. So these are our two differences, okay? Capitol with an A talks about a city, like Washington, D.C., okay? Capitol with an O is an actual building where people do business, all right? So, all right, so our government, when it first started, when George Washington was first president, the government would move from state to state to state to state to do its business. George Washington thought, that's a lot of work. I don't want to keep doing that all the time. He wanted a permanent place where they could do their business, where Congress could do their business, where he could do his business, where the judicial branch could do their business. They wanted a permanent spot. So he decided he wanted to have the capital in a certain place, in one place without moving around. Right now, they had one in New York, but they wanted to move it to another place. Well, do you think our legislators could agree on it? Remember how much trouble it took them just to decide if we needed a bank or not? Could you imagine trying to decide where to put the new capital? No, they did not. They did not agree very much at all. Some people wanted it in the north. Some people wanted it in the south. Now, Congress was going to be a part of setting up this capital, where it was going to be, and help design it. So, do you think they agreed? No way. There's so many people in the Congress already. They had so many different opinions. So they couldn't agree on where to put the capital. Now, not only were they disagreeing on that, they were also disagreeing on debt. So, debt. Remember what debt is? It's the money that you owe to somebody. Well, what has recently happened during this time that would cause there to be debt? Let's see, what was going on right before George Washington became president? The Revolutionary War. Being in a war costs a lot of money. You have to pay for supplies. You have to pay for ships. You have to pay for the people that are wounded. You have to pay all kinds of things. So where are they going to get the money to pay back all the money that they're in debt from? Well, this is another thing that they disagreed on. Some people believe that the national government, the big government of the whole country, should pay for it. Other people decided that each state should pay their part of what the debt is from the Revolutionary War. So they went back and forth between all of these things. Well, what did we learn about in the past about how these legislators, how these leaders fixed these problems when they would have these disagreements? It was one of our vocab words we used. Remember what that was? Yes, it was compromise. They found a compromise. Do you remember what a compromise is? It's when there's different groups of people and you don't get everything that you want, but you get some of the things that you want. And that's what they had to do. They had to come up with a compromise between where the capital was going to be and who was going to pay for the debt. So they did. The compromise was that the federal government, the national government of the United States, would pay for the debt. And the capital would be in the south. All right? So here is an example. Actually, here's a map. Here, let me turn that light off again. Okay. Here is a map of part of the 13 colonies, okay? Up here is New York. Remember, we said that's where the capital is, all right, in New York City right now during when George Washington first became president. Philadelphia is right there. Philadelphia is where a lot of business was taking place. In fact, the Declaration of Independence was signed in Philadelphia. Well, here is Washington, D.C., and you can see the star right there. That was the star. That's why they point out where the capital of the country is right there in Washington, D.C. Now,
they said that they were going to put the capital south. Well, this is where it was before. So yes, Washington D.C. is south of New York City. All right. Now this is the Potomac River right here, and it's kind of hard to see on this map. I'm sorry, guys. Let me move a little closer. Okay. Right in there, there's a little bit of water. It goes all the way up to that star. That is the Potomac River. That was a very important river for them. But I wanted to make sure that you saw where it was and you could see how close it was to Washington, D.C. Now, the the leaders of our country did not want the capital to be in one state because that wouldn't be fair to the rest of the states. Because if the capital was in one state, then that state would get a lot of extra things that the rest of the states didn't get. And remember, our leaders were very virtuous. They cared about everybody. They wanted to make decisions for everybody, not just one group of people. So they wanted the capital to be on a land all by itself that wasn't on a state. So some of the states around it, right in here, they donated their land for the capital. So that now Washington, D.C., that is our capital, is not in any state. It is a piece of land all by itself. Okay? All right. So we talked about the capital. We talked about the Congress making the decisions and compromising. I showed you the map of where they put it. Now, George Washington wanted to make this city, and he hired a man named Pierre Lafont to help him design what this city would look like, what this capital city for our government would look like. Now, Pierre was from France. He was born there, he grew up there, but he came over to America during the Revolutionary War. Now, he came over here to help America fight the British. He believed so much in America that he even fought for George Washington during the Revolutionary War. He fought in his army. After the war, Pierre changed his name to Peter, and he moved to New York, and he lived in New York. So George Washington had already known him and knew what abilities he had. So he asked him to come and kind of help make the city, help design how the city would be. And he did. In fact, he designed big roads. He designed a president's house. He designed the Capitol building, the picture that I showed you. Not just the main city, but he designed a building where the Capitol people could work, where the legislatures could work. He also designed areas that you could put colleges in, and he designed a national church. And finally, he made a grid map of the city of Washington. Okay? Now, here, it's kind of like a little cartoon of Washington, D.C., but this is an idea of what he had done. All right? Here, he designed an area for the White House. He designed areas for monuments like the Washington Monument. And here, let me get my finger in the right spot. There is the Capitol building. Okay, so this is a Capitol building with an O, Capitol. But this whole paper is the Capitol with an A, the city of Washington, D.C. And you can see he designed the roads in there, and he had areas for all different things to be a part of that. Okay? All right. So after he designed and set it up, they started working on it. Now, we all know Washington, D.C. Okay? We know what Washington stands for. Washington was the first president. So they named Washington, D.C., Washington after the first president. But what does D.C. stand for? D.C. means District of Columbia. District of Columbia. Columbia, that was named for Christopher Columbus. That's right. So Washington, D.C. is named after President Washington and Christopher Columbus. Kind of cool, huh? All right, so our big idea for today is that the capital, the city capital, was relocated from New York City to Washington, D.C. It started out in New York from when George Washington first was president, and then it moved to Washington, D.C. Now, I mentioned earlier a grid map that Pierre Lafont made of Washington. A grid is a picture of something divided into boxes. And that's going to kind of be what our assignment is today, is for you to practice looking at a grid map. And I have one right here for you that we're going to go over. Here it is. Okay, this is a little picture of Washington, D.C., and you can see how it is all divided up into squares. And down on the bottom it has letters, and on the side it has numbers. Okay, so when you are trying to read a grid map, you start with the columns and the rows, and you find out where they meet. So I'm going to read this to you. This is a map of modern Washington, D.C. It has a grid. A map grid is made up of lines that form squares. The letters and the numbers on the grid map will help you find the places. For example, place your finger on the F below the map. All right, I'm going to try to do this. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Oops. It's a little tougher than I thought. Going backwards. Okay, here we go. On the F. There we go. Slide your finger up until it lines up with the number 2. 1, 2, right there. Okay, this is square F2 because I started on the column of F and went up to row 2. And what do we see in that square? What's in that square? Yes, it's the Washington Monument. So the Washington Monument grid is located on F2. You always put the letter first. So F2 is a Washington Monument. Now we're going to find the Lincoln Memorial on the map. So slide our finger to the letter. So let's find the Lincoln Memorial on our map. Where is the Lincoln Memorial? You guys see it? Dun, 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 dun. Let me help put my finger in the right spot. There we go. Okay. Right there is the Lincoln Memorial. So now we're going to slide our finger to the letter. Where are the letters? On the bottom. So slide down, and the letter is B. That's right. B is the letter. Okay. Now we're going to go back to the Lincoln Memorial, and then we're going to slide our finger to the number. Ready? What number does it go to? It goes to number 2. So what is the name of the square that the Lincoln Memorial is in? Exactly. It is in B2. All right, remember we do the letter first. So B2 is the square that the Lincoln Memorial is in. All right? Okay, so this is going to be what your assignment page is right here. Now, this map is the exact same map as this one. It's just a little bit smaller. So if you have trouble looking at this one, you can zoom in on your computer, or you can go back into the video and look at that map if you can read it, okay? And after you've found so that you can see the map, you're going to answer these questions. There are 8 questions. So the first one is up here. It says, write each location using a letter and a number. Okay, 1, the White House. So where did we find the White House? Where is the White House at? See it? Okay, it is right there. So we have to find the location of the White House. We go down and find the letter. What letter is that? Letter F. Right, so you put F first. And then what number is it? 4. F4. So I would write, here we go, F first, then the number. Okay? So I would write F4 as the answer. And then you do the other 3. Then the next one is going to be for 5. It says, I'm going to go this way. What place is located, sorry, my eyes can't see that. Sorry guys, I'm really having trouble doing this backwards. Sorry about that. There we go. What place is located at E2? All right, so let's find E2. First, you find the letter E. E is right there, and then we go up 2. 1, 2. Okay, E2, right in this square right here. What is that? That is the World War II Memorial. Okay, so then I will write World War II Memorial. just like that, World War II memorial. And then I want you to do 6, 7, and 8. All right, guys? Okay. If you have any questions, please email us and let us know. Turn this in. This will just be a participation grade, not a daily grade. So take a picture of it, or if you're able to do it on the computer, that's fine. You don't have to print it. You can just write 1 and then the answer, 2 and then the answer, and then take a picture and send it to us. All right, guys? I miss you. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.